Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Horticulture Happy Hour. My name is Wayne Hobbs. I am the Environmental Horticulture Agent with the University of Florida IFAS Extension Office in Clay County. And tonight we're going to take a look at, as we have the past several weeks, look at a horticultural ingredient we can use for some of our favorite mocktails and drinks, and also how it fits into the Florida and Florida-friendly landscape. So for tonight, we're actually going to take a look at one of a very common ingredient that's used, and it's one that actually can be grown in Florida, but unfortunately not one we can grow up here in Northeast Florida where I live. So tonight we're going to be taking a look at cinnamon. So cinnamon itself is a really cool ingredient. Basically, it's one of those things, if you don't know what cinnamon comes from, it actually comes from the bark of the tree. So there's different cinnamons that you normally are looking at. So first of all, if you're going out and buying cinnamon sticks, ground cinnamon, you're normally getting a Ceylon cinnamon, which is cinnamomum. This is a normally not grown in the United States, brought over, usually has a sweeter flavor. But there are some other cinnamons that are a little more common in the Florida landscape, even though if you are zone 10 or below, so if you're down in the Keys pretty much, or it's extreme South Florida, you can actually grow cinnamon as part of your landscape. So we do have cinnamomum, Ceylon cinnamon. Then also actually it's cinnamomum zeylanicum. So that's usually what you're going to get, whether it's in stick form or also ground. So that's one option. Now the cool thing is there are other cinnamons that can be grown in Florida. One of them is cassia, which is another cinnamon variety. So this is another bark of a plant. Just make sure you are using the correct cassia, one that the bark is useful. This does taste like cinnamon, but it's actually going to be hotter, more spicy. Some common names for that are actually Chinese cinnamon or Saigon cinnamon. So it is going to have a different flavor profile than your Ceylon cinnamon. And Florida actually also has a native cinnamon plant, which is Canella winterana. So it's a native cinnamon bark. You can actually harvest the bark off of this tree and use it to make your own cinnamon. Once again, it's not going to be as sweet as the Ceylon cinnamon that we're used to, but it can also be used and can be added to your landscape as actually an endangered Florida-friendly plant. So for cinnamon, growing it, basically, it is going to be another one of those plants that does do well with uh, well drained soils and things like that. But it's also one where honestly I don't have any personal experience growing it because I've never lived south of Clay County. So honestly, I don't have much personal experience growing it. But if you do have that option, try to seek it out in your zone 10 or 11 and reach out to your local extension office down there for more information. Now, as an ingredient, there's a lot of great options to use cinnamon. I personally use it even outside of mocktails and drinks like that. I use it a lot in my coffee. I make up cinnamon syrups. I actually put some right into the drip filter with my coffee and let it drip through, and the cinnamon flavors do come through. And if you add a little bit of nutmeg and allspice, you can also, and some ginger maybe, you can get them as a pumpkin spice or a holiday spice too. So I like changing that up through the year. Now for cinnamon itself, like I mentioned, it can be used in different ways. So basically, one way is as a syrup. What I normally do is make a 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1 cinnamon syrup, and then when it's still warm, I'll put a cinnamon stick inside of the pot or whatever I've heated up in. Let that cinnamon seep inside, giving it that sweet, spicy flavor you expect. And that's actually a really great ingredient. Like I said, you can use it in a lot of different things. It's good on ice cream. It's good in coffee. It can also be really good in mocktails, especially give it a little bit of extra little bit of spice, something a little bit different than a regular syrup. Now, I have also made the slight mistake of using ground cinnamon in my simple syrups. The only problem there is the grit does build up in there, and it's not as good for your mouth feel when you're drinking it, and it's really hard to get really fine cinnamon out of it. So as an ingredient, those are some ways. You can also go ahead and use it as an infusion. So put it directly into something and those flavors will infuse into another liquid. Um, Now, when it comes to using it in drinks, it's also a really great garnish. So a couple ways to do that. I'm going to use this mug here for some examples. So one way I like to do it actually, and been to quite a few establishments to do it this way, is using a full cinnamon stick. So I'm going to take one cinnamon stick out of here. And basically what they'll do is usually they'll place it inside of the drink. It's ISO not crushed, so it's need to get it to sit upright. There we go. Okay, so then so it has a little bit of visual appeal, not that much. You could use some more leaves and edible leaves and things like that in there. But with this, you can also, one fun thing with cinnamon is it does burn pretty well, so we can get some heat on there. And then what happens is, I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but the smoke comes off. You get that strong cinnamon fragrance. Smoke can build up a little bit. I've been into some place where they're doing this on a lot of drinks, and you can actually smell it as soon as you walk in. And it can be a little pungent for some people, but it will kind of smolder there. The good thing is, if you are doing this at home, you don't actually waste the whole cinnamon stick with here. You can, if you aren't making, you can actually save this and use it in your to make some more syrup, which I'm actually going to do because my syrup is about a month old now, so it's time to make some more. Now, the other fun way, my favorite ways to use cinnamon, is I'm actually going to grab 1 or 2 more cubes of ice because I'm starting to melt down here in this mug, so I get a good platform to work with. Is to actually use it in, once again, with fire. Maybe don't need that one. So I'm going to place that up there. Now, what I have on here is actually a crouton. So just some toasted bread. I've soaked it in some lemon oil extract. So basically, that is going to give me something that's flammable. And then let's hope this works. So if I got enough on there. Usually it lights up a little bit easier than that. I got a crosswind coming through, so it's not actually working for me. It's actually something that also will look better at night. So if it is burning, you'll get a little bit of flame. Might cheat a little bit here. So the one thing you can do with cinnamon is, as fire, is when cinnamon hits fire, it sparks. So normally this would light up and be a lot prettier, but it is fun if you do have a fire going. Let me see if I can't get a little bit of it going. No, not tonight. So you can have people sprinkle cinnamon. You can throw it in, shake it over with a shaker, but that sparked cinnamon will create cool little sparks as you go. So just another option to use cinnamon as an ingredient, something for a little bit of show and garnish as well. So overall, that pretty much wraps up our horticulture happy hour for tonight. Sorry for the little technical issue. One thing with having a screened-in room, we do have a nice breeze today. It's beautiful weather, so I'm very happy to actually be outside in this. But if you have any questions about gardening, reach out to me or your local extension office. We're very happy to help, and hope you enjoyed this horticulture happy hour episode. The recording on this is actually October 24th, so we are 1 week away from Halloween. So our next class will be next Thursday at 6 o'clock. We'll be having a little bit of a more of a Halloween themed episode as we go through. We kind of take it pretty seriously here in my house, so we're gonna have a theme with a mocktail for next Thursday. But if you, like I said, if you have any questions, reach out to me or your local extension office. We're happy to help, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.